Singing while sick isn't ideal, but sometimes the show must go on. In today's video, I'm sharing real actionable tips as well as vocal exercises and warm-ups that I myself do when I am sick. And speaking of which, I'm actually currently sick right now. I was wiped out by some weird virus and I'm still recovering. If you can hear in my voice, I sound a little congested, so bear with me, but we're gonna go over everything that you need to know today. And just as a reminder, I do offer online voice lessons, so if you're interested, you can sign up below. However, if the slots are full, there's also a link to join a waitlist, which you can sign up for. Now, just a reminder, I am not a medical provider, and this is not medical advice. Anything that pertains to your medical needs and your body is between you and your doctor. And just remember that these aren't magic fixes, but they are going to help reduce any sort of strain that you can put on your voice when you are singing while sick. Now, the first thing to remember is that not all colds are created the same. If you've lost your voice completely, or you've developed any sort of hoarseness, or you're dealing with laryngitis, do not sing. That's your body saying, no, we're not gonna sing. Some people believe in taking steroids when this happens, and I think you should take steroids if you are a professional singer to prevent any further attack of the nerves in the voice. However, that doesn't mean that you should sing. It can cause some serious trauma. But if you've got some nasal congestion, a mild sore throat, and some coughing, I'd say it's okay to sing. You just have to be very, very cautious about what you do. Now, going back to the laryngitis topic, when I had COVID and I didn't know, fortunately I was masked, but I had to sing an opera. My voice had dropped down an octave, which is evidence of swelling in the voice, and I couldn't even sing my upper range, but I was trying. I find out a year later as I'm getting scoped that I have a semi-paralyzed vocal cord. So fortunately, that wasn't the end of the world. I was able to embark in a voice therapy journey to help heal that, but that's the kind of serious damage that you can cause when you aren't really able to phonate at all and you're trying to phonate. When you're sick, your usual vocal technique might not work as well. So here's what you should probably adjust. Now, if you're in a situation where you're performing, let's say in a band or whatever, see if you can lower the key. That's a great way to make sure that you're not overusing your voice past the range that it's comfortable singing in a given day. You also want to make sure that you are really, really supporting your breath. You don't want to do any sort of muscling here. It just can't take it. Make sure that any sort of control is coming from the breath support. Another thing is to use more head voice or mix. So instead of belting, bringing your chest voice past what it's usually doing when you're speaking, try opting for some head voice or some mixed voice and making sure that, again, you're also not pushing those registers either. It's super floaty, super easy, super relaxed. The other thing that I highly recommend is to hydrate and steam and rest. They always say that you should be drinking half your body weight in ounces daily. I would definitely do that when you're sick. I would also add in something with electrolytes, whether it's Gatorade, a liquid IV or something, that'll help maintain your hydration. It's not only good for your body, but it also keeps the cords lubricated, which is important, especially when we're sick. The other thing that I would recommend is drinking tea, and you can even put some honey in this. I'm allergic to honey, so I can't use honey, but that's another way to really kind of soothe the voice. Warm liquids are just going to be really helpful. So speaking of tea, the other thing you can do is steam. And I actually have a steamer, a vocal mister, which I use pretty frequently. I have no idea where it is. I literally brought it with me to the office today. I put it somewhere, I don't remember. But anyway, you can find one using the link down below. They're pretty cheap, but the more expensive ones do work better. And I would recommend those over the cheaper ones. And if you don't want to splurge on a humidifier or a mister or whatever, just boil some water and just hover over, breathe in the steam. You can do this with tea as well. Oh, and by the way, the tea that I recommend is Throat Coat. It tastes like marshmallows and it feels really nice. Now, rest. My actual advice would be to not sing at all if you can manage it, and maybe do a little bit of phonation, like humming, lip buzzing, tongue buzzing, straw blowing, etc. But my recommendation would be to not perform at all. That being said, sometimes we end up in positions where we just have to sing, whether we're paid for a gig, paid for a show, a performance, or whatever, or we just really want to do it, which is also a valid reason. That's okay, but we want to make sure that in the meantime, when we're not performing, we are really resting. So that doesn't mean we're going out and hanging out with our friends late at night, drinking a lot and eating a lot of high acidic food or whatever, really taking care of yourself as much as you can. Okay, so let's talk about some things that you should definitely avoid when you're sick. The first thing is any throat spray or lozenges with menthol or numbing agent. These can actually dry out your vocal cords, which is not what we want when we're singing, and especially when we're sick. We want them to remain hydrated and lubricated. So those are not ones that I would recommend. Some cough drops that I would recommend is anything with honey in them, but I can't do that because I'm allergic. So I get these Ricola Swiss Alpine with Swiss Alpine herbs. This is the lemon mint and it's sugar free. And you can even get anything with glycerin is okay as well. So these are my go-to. I'm a big fan. I will be taking one of these later. The other thing that you maybe should avoid, but it really depends on the person, is cold medicine. And here's why. NSAIDs are medications that thin out your vocal cords. This can lead to, if you are singing with thin vocal cords, this can lead to hemorrhaging in the voice. However, if you're coughing all the time and you have to sing, it might be worth taking cold medicine. It really just depends on the person, and you also want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself outside of this situation. So you're not going out late at night, you're not drinking with your friends, etc., doing these things that are going to cause more inflammation. We're not doing those things. I sometimes prefer to use ibuprofen over acetaminophen, which is the Tylenol that you can take and it won't thin out your vocal cords. But sometimes ibuprofen just gets the job done. So I think it really just depends on the person. I wouldn't explore this for the first time when you're about to have a major performance. That would probably be not wise. But in the meantime, like if you are in rehearsals or something, or you're just kind of, have a cold and you're just kind of singing around the house, take it, see how it feels. If you feel like it's pretty safe for you, then great. But truly, it just depends on the person. Now, some other things that you can do, let's say if you're scared to take cold medicine or take ibuprofen, is you can do a neti pot. So this is a neti pot I got from Walgreens. I love neti pots because they clear out all the gunk in your sinuses, and boy do I got some gunk in my sinuses. So it comes with saline packs, and you put the saline pack in here, put some clean water. This is incredibly important. You need to make sure that you are using filtered water that you have boiled, because you could get a brain-eating amoeba. So make sure that you are very careful about the water that you are using. Anyway, put the saline in there with the clean, boiled water. I let it cool down until it's tolerable to touch. And then stick it in one nostril, hang over the sink, it comes out the other. It's really great for clearing out the sinuses, which is in turn going to help any sort of postnasal drip, which will lead to sore throats, or coughing, which is also going to create inflammation in the voice. And it also will just help clear out the sinuses. But again, if you have a stuffy nose, it's not going to hinder your singing completely. It just might make you sound a little funny. Okay, so now I said I would talk about exercises that I like to do when I'm sick. And these are very gentle exercises for the purpose of, 1, slowly warming up the voice, and 2, seeing where my voice is at on a given day. What I usually will start with is some tongue buzzing. Okay, and I'll just do up and down. Okay, so let's try that together. If you are sick right now and you want to try this with me, let's do it together. So we're gonna do Okay, so I definitely don't have the top of my range today. A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D. Let's move on. The next thing I'm gonna do is a straw warm up. This is, if you absolutely have to sing high notes, something you can use to help warm up the high end of your voice. So we're gonna do in the straw, okay? Ready, and So I still can't quite get up to a C, but I was able to extend it just a little bit more into a B. So straw singing is a really great way if you feel like the upper part of your range is really struggling. Try singing in the straw, but don't push it. If it's just not going to come out that day, it's just not going to come out. It's not the end of the world. The other thing that you want to do is a lot of breath support work to make sure that the breath is carrying the voice and not the muscles here. So we're going to do he, he, ha, ho, hu, and really emphasize the H at the beginning to make sure that the breath is what's starting the voice instead of the voice itself. Let's try it. Ready, and he, he, ha, ho, hu. He, he, ha, ho, hu. He, he, ha, ho, hu. He, So those are some ways to start singing, and if you are not phonating at all, you're not singing. Sorry, you're not gonna sing. That's really the most important thing, is that you don't push yourself past what you are capable to do. The voice is part of your body, and unfortunately, if your body is functioning at 40%, so is your voice. If your body is functioning at 0%, so is your voice. So really take it one step at a time and don't push it. If it means that you have to take more time to warm up and just make sure that everything's okay and in between, then great. But it really is something that you should be cautious of. The last thing that I would do is really make sure that the resonance is here and not in the throat. And actually, if you have congestion like I do right now, it's really helpful for you being able to feel where the resonance should be, because we want to make sure the voice isn't doing anything other than vibrating. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll do mi, me, ma, mo, mu, and really lean into the nasality of the sound, the forwardness of the sound. Okay, let's try it. Ready, and mi, me, ma, mo, mu, 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 mi, me, ma, mo, mu. Singing when you're sick isn't fun, but it's possible if you're careful. Prioritize vocal health, adjust expectations, and give yourself lots of grace. That pretty much covers everything for today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I tend to answer most of them. I will see you next time.